Hello everyone, I am Maximilian. Our group members are Tianyang, Steven, and Wilson. The topic of our group relates to the streetcar of TTC. Here's the issue. A lot of people complain the TTC system, mainly on streetcars. Many say they have to waste a lot of time on waiting streetcars. So our group decided to shoot a short video about the circumstances of the traffic on Spadina Road near New College. We will introduce you more details through WISE. We will talk about the background of TTC streetcars, and then we will identify stakeholders, basic function, and those kind of things. After that, we will show you our 3 designs, which can solve the problem I mentioned above. At last, a conclusion as usual. So here we go.
Okay, let's have some basic knowledge of Toronto streetcars. So if you go to google.com, you can type in Toronto streetcars, as I did. And their first result is streetcar TTC, so it's Toronto Transport Commission. Click into it, so you can find out that there are some streetcar numbers. So the one we are going to look into is 510 Spadina. It's the one right beside the 45 Wilcox Street, which is the residence we live. So you can see the 510 Spadina streetcar is from Spadina Station to Queen Station. Here is the map of the streetcars. So as you can see, it's basically goes through one straight line. So the streetcar is kind of limited for the ability to turn a circle. Here is the overview of the Toronto streetcar system. 510 Spadina is using the special bus lines to provide service to customers. Here you can see a 510 Spadina is coming right to you, and some passengers get off from the streetcars. From our research on the internet shows that in 1861, City of Toronto issued a 30-year transit franchise for the horse-drawn street railway. Then when this line heavily loaded, Toronto Street Railway (TSR) opened the first street railway line in Canada on September 11, 1861, operating from Yorkville Town Hall to the St. Lawrence Market. At the end of the TSR franchise, the city ran the railway for 8 months, but ended up granting a new 30-year franchise to the Toronto Railway Company (TRC) in 1891. The TRC was the first operator for the horseless streetcars in Toronto. After the Second World War, cities across North America began to eliminate their streetcar system in favor of bus. During the 1950s, the TTC continued to invest in streetcars, and the TTC took advantage of other cities' streetcar removals by purchasing extra PPC cars from Cleveland, Birmingham, and other cities. Over years of expansion, Toronto now has a streetcar system mainly serves in downtown area. A tweet by Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, which it reflects the situation Toronto streetcar facing, with persistent delays on our streetcar system due to the weather. Days like today remind us why we must invest in underground transit. The cold weather also caused railway switches to freeze and ice to build up on the overhead power lines. TTC response team were dealing with those problems frequently in winters.
The basic function of this design is transport mass. 2 main stakeholders are TTC staff and Toronto citizens.
The first design is changing or developing the streetcars using right now, because the report said the doors of streetcars may be frozen in winter. Especially this year, the temperature is extremely low. You know, it's my first year here in Toronto. I thought this is what normal Toronto's winter looks like. But many domestic students told me this year is colder than recent years. So the situation of the frozen streetcars this year is even worse. Then streetcars often delay. So to solve this problem, changing brand new streetcars is a wise move if possible. The new streetcars should have hydraulic braking and door system to cope with the cold weather.
New streetcars are being purchased in 2014. In the meantime, TTC workers will continue to work miracles to keep the aging fleet going until they can be replaced.
The second design is totally remove the whole TTC streetcar system. Instead of the streetcars, we can change to a normal bus. we can set more time schedule added to the original timeline. There will be more buses, and it doesn't mean those new added buses will be distributed equally around 24 hours. It has to fit the habit and regular pattern of passengers. For example, there will be more buses when people go to work and school than lunchtime, so it should be dynamic.
The third design is to use electronic display timetables, which will be connected to the main control system, collecting data from GPS in each streetcars in order to estimate the time of arrival. Since the timetable is going to be more accurate, relatively the streetcars will give users a sense of being on time.
As we said, the stakeholders are TTC staffs and citizens who live in Toronto. So why is it interested in the electronic timetable? First, let's talk about the staff in TTC. Because if we use first two designs, those drivers may have to learn how to drive the new buses, and some of the drivers may lose their jobs. So they must recommend the timetable one. Second, less concerned about the citizen. They just want to have a more convenient trip. An electrical timetable definitely meets their need. Changing a brand new system instead of streetcars can also solve the problem. But citizens won't feel there's a lot of change related to their own problem, which is save time and convenience.
Since the federal government does not like to invest a lot to TTC right now, the first two designs have been abandoned. The third design has been selected as our proposed design, because this design can improve the user's experience dramatically in a relatively short time period with the minimum cost, according to the analysis of the impact to stakeholders. Besides, as Toronto is an international city with a lot of tourists, this design can also enhance the accessibility of the public transportation service for tourism. Here is the end of our video. Thank you for watching.
这有一个彩蛋放进去。